Good, happy Sunday morning, September 9th, 2018. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. Let's begin. First up, two Massachusetts residents sue Sand Resorts over laryngitis outbreak. Let's take a listen to the video from WMUR News 9, Siobhan Lopez.
If you're not happy with your large impersonal propane dealer, you're not obligated to use them. We're Shardelli Fuel, family owned and driven to treat customers right. We can help you make the transition to Shardelli Fuel. Expect more. Visit cfuel.com for new customer incentives.
Former guests of a condo at the Sands Resort in Hampton are taking legal action. Their lawyer says they were diagnosed with Legionnaire's disease just days after their stay. The two Massachusetts women are seeking damages to cover medical expenses.
One of them ended up being hospitalized and was very, very sick and still dealing with some of the symptoms in the aftermath now.
Claims are being brought against a number of parties, including the management company and trustees. According to the lawsuit, the women stayed at the Sands in early August, which is within the window of time state health officials found an outbreak of 15 patients diagnosed with a potentially dangerous pneumonia in the area of Ashworth Avenue. One of those people has died.
Primarily it's negligence and the failure to implement safeguards to prevent something that's easily preventable.
The Sands Resort is complying with an order from the Department of Health and Human Services and has begun immediate remediation of the facility's water system. In an earlier statement released before the lawsuit was filed, resort owners say the CDC only connected 9 patients to their property and that test results at several other hotels have not come back. The Sands and the Harris Sea Ranch shut down their hot tubs after the CDC found the bacteria. Officials say they were not registered with the state as required. The owners of the specific unit the women stayed in are named in the lawsuit. They had no comment. Attorney Emile Boussier says there was a total of 3 people staying in that room.
The third person who was traveling with them did not go in the hot tub and did not become sick.
A pool and spa company is also named in the lawsuit. They could not be reached for comment. We reached out to the owners of the resort. They had no comment today, but indicated they do plan to release a statement on Monday. Reporting in Hampton, Siobhan Lopez, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Well, following breaking news in Boston, body of man who fell overboard off cruise ship located. Let's take a listen to the video from WCVB Boston.
Manual work prevents your teams from meeting the pace of business. With ServiceNow, anyone can easily build apps on a single platform without a single line of code. That way teams work better together to outpace the competition. Work better, start now.
All right, guys, the P-Town ferry was supposed to arrive here a little while ago, but that clearly isn't the case. You can see the boat is not tied up here to the dock. That's because at 8:30 this evening, the sound went out for a man overboard. A massive search is underway out in the harbor at this moment, right near Paddocks Island, which is right near Hull. We're told that a helicopter is up in the air right now. Massive Coast Guard boats are in the water searching for this person who went overboard. It was a ferry, as you said, from P-Town to here in the Boston Harbor when someone somehow went overboard. You can see the state police right here on the dock next to the World Trade Center. State police preparing for this boat to come in. They don't exactly know what to expect because the boat still isn't in harbor. But at this point in time, a massive search underway right now in Boston Harbor for someone who went overboard from a ferry that was coming from the Cape. That ferry clearly still not in the harbor. But stay with us, as this story develops. We'll be here for the next hour or two and bring you the very latest as it develops. For now, reporting from Boston Harbor, Kelly Hurd, WCVB News Center 5.
Kelly, thank you.
All right, now we have Petty Officer Nicole Grohl on the phone with us from the U.S. Coast Guard. Petty Officer Grohl, what can you tell us about the fact that it's dark out and the conditions in the water out there?
I don't have a report about what the weather sea state is like, but we train with our partner agencies who are out there searching right now all the time. So this is going to be a coordinated effort, and we are scouring the area. The helicopter from Air Station Cape Cod is going to illuminate it and help with that search, and we're going to do our best to find this person as quick as possible.
All right, and kind of how do you do that? Does it start with maybe a small radius and then gradually work out, or kind of what is the tactic and the approach?
Correct. So we got the report that the person went off the ferry near Pedex Island, so we'll start there, and then we have programs that calculate tide movements, and they have all the our watchstanders put in all the weather information, so they'll gradually do an expanding square type search, and everybody will be kind of coordinating in the same efforts around, and we'll go wider as the evening progresses.
Petty Officer, that Pedex Island's about 8 miles from Boston Harbor. What is the biggest concern right now as you go about this search?
It's dark. It's hard to see, and that's the biggest concern right now. We have to be able to eliminate the area, and hopefully we can spot this person as soon as possible. I did have an initial report that the ferry was also involved in the search, trying to find the person who went off the boat. So that's probably why they're not moored up yet.
All right, Petty Officer Nicole Grohl with the U.S. Coast Guard. Thank you so much for taking time with us tonight. Of course, we wish you the very best on this search.
And Nicole, that water there, right now, talking to AJ, that water there.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And, early this morning, they recovered the body of that person that fell off the cruise ship last night, I'm sorry. Boil water lifted for most SK Narragansett residents, still in place for others. Let's take a listen to the video from WPRI.com.
Cardi's is for you. Now, even better, with removable and washable covers.
Right now, enjoy Tempur-Pedic with up to 5 years interest-free financing.
Cardi's Furniture.
Developing news tens of thousands of people have been waiting for in South County. The Rhode Island Department of Health has lifted a boil water advisory that began last week for 4 of 5 water systems impacted. Eyewitness News reporter Eric Halpern is in studio with how this impacted business and what you should do if you can now use your water.
Kate, around town, people have been relieved to hear that after more than a week, the boil water advisory was lifted for most in South County. The one system the advisory still has not been lifted for is the North End system in Narragansett. This map shows the streets in Narragansett still under the boil water advisory. Customers on the North End system. But tap water in the majority of South County is safe to drink again.
It was relieving.
Kelly Drew works at the Chair 5 inside the Break Hotel. Just before the restaurant opened Saturday, she heard the boil water advisory had been lifted.
The boss just called us, said the water ban was lifted. She's like, you guys are good to go.
They had turned off, emptied, and cleaned the ice machine. It's since been turned back on after a week of getting 15 to 20 bags of ice every day.
Picking up ice on the way to work every day.
Bottles of water and canned soda were being used at the bar. Back in the kitchen, the chef boiled water, then let it cool to wash vegetables.
Added way more hassle than it should have, just getting out of the tap, but it wasn't terrible. I mean, it wasn't awful, but it could have been a lot better.
It. You know, we wanted to make sure that everyone was staying safe, you know, so we took all the extra precautions.
For the areas the advisory has been lifted, before using the water again, the Rhode Island Department of Health says people with refrigerators with water dispensers or ice machines should clean those, replace water treatment filter cartridges, and run faucets that weren't used during the advisory for 10 minutes. The advisory for customers on the North End system is in place until further notice from the Department of Health. If you want another look at that map showing the streets still impacted, it's up on our website, WPRI.com. I'm Eric Halpern, Eyewitness News.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report, and that is good news that the boil water has lifted. Portland residents voice safety concerns about new homeless shelter. Let's take a listen to the video from WMTW News 8 Maine.
Get Spectrum TV, internet, and voice for $29.99 a month each. Enjoy more free HD, faster internet, and unlimited nationwide calling with no contracts. Man, that's a great deal. Click to learn more.
You have a bad shelter that's forcing us to sit in here and question you about this. That's our whole point. The shelter is garbage. It's a terrible plan, and it's creating all these other issues.
Portland residents are fired up about the city's proposed plan for a new homeless shelter. Right now, it's in downtown, but city leaders recommend building a 2-story shelter on Brighton Avenue near the Barron Center.
This is broken, and we have got to fix this, and not just for the homeless population, but for our community at large.
Residents listened to the proposed plan at the University of Southern Maine. City leaders say it's a more comprehensive approach to getting people critical services, but many people here were concerned about safety.
Are you going to have somebody at that center 24/7 as a police officer? Or are they just going to be there from 9 to 5?
Parents worry about sending their kids to nearby schools. Neighbors love where they live and worry that could change.
It's a darn good place. It's almost like living in a rural community within an urban setting.
Portland police tried to reassure residents.
Some of this can be mitigated too by our increased patrols and making sure that people aren't hanging around in that playground.
Not everyone was critical of this plan. Some residents say this is Portland's best option.
I heard a lot of highly emotionally charged people. What if, what if, what if? There's always what if. We have to be reasonable and rational and do our best.
The city manager says this recommendation is now in the hands of city council to discuss and vote on.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Attempted abduction reported in Barton. An attempted kidnapping in Barton Saturday morning. Police say while a 16-year-old was walking along Route 16 near Roaring Brook Road, a car approached him. The teen told police the driver asked if he wanted a ride. Police say when the teen said no, the man got out of his car and tried to force him into the passenger side. Police say the teen was able to break free and run away. Now authorities are asking for anyone who saw the man or his car to contact them. He is described as a white male about 5 to 9 inches, in his 50s or 60s. The suspect was driving a maroon Chevrolet convertible with Vermont plates. Police investigate untimely death in Middletown. Let's take a listen to the video from WTNH.com News 8.
Internet and voice from $29.99
$29.99 a month each. Spectrum TV with free HD. Spectrum has the fastest internet starting speeds, 100 megabits per second. Get